Welcome to part one in our mini-series, Go Your Own Way, Why Bands Break Up. I'm your host, Dr. Bill Lord. In this episode, we begin our stroll down the twisty, turny, gnarly road that explores why bands break up. You may ask, why bother? What does this have to do with Global Z's mission? Well, in a sense, with each project we host, we actually create a new musical band, and players are handpicked for their cultural diversity, musicianship, interest in making commercial quality music, learning new related skills and knowledge, and there's a shared desire to create cross-cultural friendships. All musicians, young and not so young, make tons of mistakes in their race to create music. Musicians are artists, and for many, that's all they want to do. They can't be bothered with anything else. And while we love to create and perform music, there's much more to being a performing or professional musician than just playing music. And by professional, I mean someone who gets paid to perform. The scenario gets instantly more complicated when we are not just a solo act. If the content provided in this mini-series can pass along information that may help you from making the same mistakes so many musicians have made before you and continue to make to this day, we will consider this series a smashing success. And we may help you create new lifelong friendships as you make your way along your musical journey, and wouldn't that be a great thing? The first reason so many bands break up is a big one: money. But before we dive into money talk, it's mic talk time. And for this episode, we'll give a listen to SE Electronics' new NEOM USB microphone. This funky-looking condenser mic is well constructed, is suitable for recording voice and instruments, and it's a USB-C mic, so it doesn't require an audio interface or phantom power to get you recording. The plug-and-play feature makes it incredibly user-friendly and convenient to use. The mic ships with a short but stable desktop stand, a mic clip, thread adapter, and a USB-C to USB-A cable. Now let's check out its features. On the back of the mic, you'll find a headphone jack, while the front of the mic sports 3.5 spiffy knobs. The top knob controls the mic gain. This controls how sensitive the mic is to recording sound. One of the really cool things about this knob is when it is in green, you're in an acceptable range, but when it goes red, you are going to clip, so you need to dial it back a touch when in red. The middle and bottom knobs work in unison. The middle knob is the mic level knob, and it controls how much of the mic you hear in your headphones, while the bottom playback knob controls how much signal you're receiving from your computer, whether that be music or podcast guests. As mentioned, the NEOM has what I call a half knob. Although it's not really a knob whatsoever, it's the SE logo. It's actually functional. When you depress it, it serves as a mute button, which can be incredibly handy. Mash it again, and the mic is hot. SE has held off in entering the USB mic foray, and it seems as though they wanted to wait until they have something to brag about. And in my opinion, bragging rights have been earned with this mic. So I'd like to know your opinion. I welcome your thoughts. But for now, it's on with our show. So, money. Like it or not, it's essential in the world we live in, and somehow each and every one of us has to find a way to pay the bills, feed our families, and put a roof over our heads. You just got to have it. If the job you do doesn't pay well enough, you either scrap that job or add a second source of income, or a third. And musicians are no different. These days, money is more difficult for musicians to come by than it has been in a very long time. Money is the main reason bands break up. Simply put, many talented bands don't make enough money to survive. Musicians used to be able to make serious cash from the sale of records, tapes, and CDs, but not anymore. If the public wants to hear music, they can go to free sources such as YouTube or access it on streaming servers for very little cost. But no one can pay the bills if they don't get paid, so essentially, the public's unwillingness to pay for music they enjoy is keeping great music from being made, and it's really a huge shame. Streaming royalties don't pay squat, and for many bands, the only chance they have for making money is from the sale of merch or by performing live shows. There's a huge number of unknown bands, regionally known bands, and even bands who have snagged big label deals that legitimately cannot survive on the income their band is generating, and understandably, they tend to get tired of living well below the poverty line. Each member, one by one, begins to peel off in order to fall back on their other skill sets or a college degree, or take a real job and start a real life. And this has become a huge problem for the musical arts. And we need to get creative and find a way that allows musicians to pay for at least their basic needs. In the UK, more than 150 artists, including stars like Paul McCartney, Kate Bush, and Sting, signed a letter asking Prime Minister Boris Johnson to take aggressive action and reform the streaming economy. In the United States, we're seeing similar actions. The Union of Musicians and Allied Workers is a new advocacy group who are going after Spotify, demanding they offer higher payouts. While a fair share of streaming income is certainly a huge problem, there are numerous other money issues that musicians may struggle with. I recall a regional rock band I was in years ago, and we had a steady roster of 5 players. No one was interested in the business side of things except me. And they had no desire to acknowledge the band was in fact a business. And like all relatively new starving artists, we did not make a lot when we performed, and it was difficult to acknowledge that all the money we earned simply couldn't be pocketed. There were bills to pay because they were associated with being a band, and they had to be paid. So begrudgingly, they gave me permission to run the band as a sort of surrogate pseudo-manager. To this day, I remember the negative energy I received when I brought up reimbursement costs that needed to be covered from the band's income to pay for expenses such as demos, posters, gear, and keeping our dilapidated but functional mode of transportation, dubbed the Hell Van, up and running. I did not get a lot of love being the responsible parent of the band. It was a thankless job, but someone had to do it. But we were talented, we played well together, and I enjoyed making the music we made while it lasted. The key here is to make sure everyone understands that the band is, like it or not, a business, and there will be business bills to pay before profits can be doled out. These bills need to be understood and agreed upon by all. Pay the bills first, then pay the band. One sure way to sow discontent in a band is to have an unequal pay structure where income is not evenly distributed amongst the band members. This has been the downfall of many a band, small, large, new, old. Mess with people's money and watch the rage percolate to the surface. Now, there are some bands that seem to have come up with a healthy payout formula. Perhaps one of the most frequently cited examples of how to keep the peace within a band can be found in Coldplay. Coldplay has 4 members, including one dominant songwriter, Chris Martin. As such, when they consider how to pay each member for songwriting credits, they have a 40-20-20-20 songwriting payout arrangement, with the lion's share going to Chris. Chris writes the bulk of the songs, then the other members make contributions to what Chris writes. For all other income streams, including royalties from touring and merch sales, they take a 25-25-25 split. Other bands known to apply a similar equality-based payout formula include U2, New Order, and Pet Shop Boys, and these bands have found the key to preventing money tempers from flaring, thus reducing internal strife. They found a way to pay every member so there is a sense of equality. If someone is doing more work than the others, should they get paid more? That really depends on each band's operational philosophy, but it all needs to be discussed. And a solution that satisfies everyone needs to be put in place. So talk it out. If you don't like the payout arrangement in your group, perhaps that group is not the right fit for you. So that's it for our first episode of Go Your Own Way, Why Bands Break Up. We'll continue to explore the theme of monetary woes in our next episode, so please stay tuned. And the next episode is going to get ugly. So join me soon as we seek answers to the huge question, why do bands break up? Until then, wishing you peace through music, I'm Bill Lord.